Hello and welcome to my first video in a series on how to use MagicQ PC. This is mainly aimed at people working on production team at King's Church Bolton, as this is their licensing setup. However, if you take up any hints from this, be sure to leave a comment in the section below. And this is my first ever tutorial series, so leave comments on how well I've done. Probably badly, but oh well. So when you first open up MagicQ on the laptop in King's, you'll start off by getting the loading page, and this dialog box will pop up. All you have to do is click on continue last show. That will get rid of it and bring you to your main setup page. This page is where you load any new shows or save the show. At the bottom you should start off with a series of boxes with some text in. If there are no text boxes there, all you have to do is go to load show, press yes to clear the memory, then find King's Final 01, as this is the best one I've set up so far. You'll then have back to the setup window and the text boxes should magically appear. So as you can see here, I've got my visualizer somewhere on the screen when I put it in post, and you can just move the sliders up and down to turn on the house lights or the stage lights. These are just the basic controls on how to use MagicQ. These sliders are called the playback sliders, and they control your basic functions such as the house lights on and off, or just general lights on and off, as you can see on the visualizer. To start with, you would turn on both the house lights and the stage lights, but I'm not going to do that here. As you can see in the visualizer, it kind of blasts over and you can't see any of the colours in the background. So I'm just going to disable those for now, but in King's, those are the main lights you need to turn on. To bring up the colour on the back wall, we have a convenient slider here called main colour, and this will bring up what's meant to be on the back wall. On this visualizer, however, the colours are distorted because it feels like it, but on the in-church it'll be fine because they're all set up correctly. So if I want to get these colours in the background looking more correct, I know exactly which lights they are. They're the ones for the panels and on the drum kit. So we go into patch, where we can see all the different lights we've got set up. We go into view channels, so you can see all the individual channels of each of the lights. Here we have our 24 generic dimmers, which are the house lights and the stage lights on the top bars. Then in order, we have, going from left to right, all the LEDs at the back. The panel ones and the drums are assigned to Omni Tri-9 lights, because that's the sort of light they are. However, the colours are coming out inverted, so there's a convenient function here called invert. So if I select the top one, select the bottom one, and then press enter, it will change it from yes, no to yes, and it will update the colours. So the colours actually are representative of what will be on the King's screen. However, you don't need to do this in King's because the colours come out correctly. You only need to do this if it's on a visualizer at home. So I'm just going to go through now and do all the rest just like that. Right, so now we have a more representative colour on our visualizer. So if I go into layout 1, this will bring up your main colour scheme. So here we have the groups palette, where you can select groups of lights you want to control, such as all the Omni Tri-9 lights, or just the trusses, the panels, drums, etc, etc. Then we have the colours you can select them to be. These are the preset colours, however you can make your own colours using the colour palette on the left here. This is the position palette, which gives you control over the position on the moving heads, which we'll cover a bit later. Then this is the beam palette, where you control the functions of the actual moving head. So if we want to set up the lights to match up with the screen on the background, say it's going to be some sort of green, we can go on to take the slider down just so we've got nothing on the background. We press include to include the slider, which will be then updated. So we click include, click on the main colour, and now we have the colours all selected. If at any time you want to clear it all and start again, press the clear button, which is underlined with a red dot because there's something being worked on. So just press clear and it all goes away. So we do it again, include, main colour. Now we can update the colours. The main colour is just designed for the background LEDs, so just the trusses, the panels and the drums. Don't want anything else on there, otherwise it confuses the system. So if we're going for a greeny colour, let's say make the trusses green, bam, that's them. We can get the panels, make those green as well, but say we want a different tone of green that's more turquoise, so we bring up the blue by clicking on the top scroller wheel effectively, and that will give you a more bluey green, or maybe add a bit of red and just make it a bit whiter, something like that. And then the drums, say make those green as well, and then add more red just to make it more yellowy green. So we have 3 different shades of green-ish, and then to update the main colour we just press update and bam. But however the lights are still on, so you just press clear, that gets rid of those. So now if we bring the main colour slider up, ooh, we got the new colour scheme. This is what you'll need to do either on the Thursday at Frontline beforehand or in the morning at King's. As you can see, it only takes a couple of minutes, so it's not that bad, and it means you get your colour scheme all set up and you can change it every service quite easily. Now we've got the main background set up for the majority of the service, now we need to work on the colours for the songs. What we've been doing so far is just using the sliders to go up and down and have one set of lights come on and off. This is fine for stuff like the basic stage lights or the basic house lights. However, if you want to do something more complicated, such as a song which will have changing colour lights in it, then we need to set up something called a Q stack. A Q stack is a series of positions which the lights go in, and you can control how fast it switches between these. So if we want to view the Q stacks on the play black sliders, all we have to do is double click on the S and that will bring up the Q stack for that slider. Here we've got the main colour followed by main colour followed by standard. This main colour is linked to the main colour we preset earlier, so if we adjust this one, then that will automatically update the one on this, so it will always be the same colour. So if I change this to something else, then this will update, so I can fade from this one to that one, take this slider down, and then they'll perfectly match up so you can transition between songs, etc. To play through the different colour sets on here, all I have to do is press the play button. Oh, that's my phone going, if you heard that. And that will transition the colour scheme from the main colour to whatever the first one is. As you can see here, it's a nice purpley pink motif thing, because that matches up with the standard sort of colour which we use for the background on the songs. This is just a simple one colour, so it will fade to that colour, then do nothing else. The reason it doesn't automatically then go back to the main colour is because of the timing setup. In MagicQ we have two sorts of timing. We have Q timing and chase timing. Q timing only moves to the next step if you press the play button, whereas chase timing will automatically chase from one of them to the next, to the next, to the next. And I'll show that a bit later on in one of the other colour sets. So if we go to the first one and then click go to Q, it will jump to that one. As you can see, it just jumped with the colour. So to fade it in, we have the fade function. So if we say press 5, which will pop up down there, select that box and then press enter, it will change the fade timing to 5 seconds. So if we press play again, so we just go to that and then it goes on to the chase sequence and fades in. If we then select the top line, doesn't matter where, just somewhere on the top line, and press go to Q, it will fade over 5 seconds to that one. This is really useful for transitioning from the wherever it is in the colour sequence to that, or moving some of the lights around. For Kings, I have set up a macro to make it much easier to jump from one to the next. So if I just say I wanted to jump to this one straight away, instead of pressing go to Q, I can just press spacebar and it will automatically jump to that. This does mean, however, if you try typing something in and pressing spacebar, it will automatically press soft button 5, which is this one up here. To turn the macro off, you can go into the macro tab, that one here. Go to macro, cancel. Go to macro and disassign macro. If you wanted to then turn it back on, you can click the macro, assign macro, and then press spacebar, which will then reassign the spacebar. So if we go back to this page, press the top one, then press spacebar, boom, it's gone. This is really cool and gives us super control over what we can do. However, this is just for one song, which is kind of useless. So let's get rid of that slider. Down here we have the page functions. This enables us to change from this set of sliders to another set of sliders. Boom, these lot. As you can see, the house and stage lights will remain on all of the different pages no matter how far you go. This is because they are set to the default for that slider. So if we just go all the way up to the first page, or page 1, and then go to the next page, we have all the different colours for different songs that I've already set up. At Kings, you then have to talk to whoever's on AV and see what backgrounds are coming up in the different songs. So say you've got a ready one or an orange one or a purple one or whatever's coming up. To get these sliders onto the first page, you go on to click copy, so you can copy something. Let's click the purple one because it's already there. Click purple, and you can then select the destination for it to go to. So we go to previous page, and then click that one. Now we have the standard one and the purple one. At the end of the service, to make sure everyone starts off with the same setup, you can then press rem or remove, which will then be able to remove whatever you selected. So you can then click on the different ones you've set up, press yes to get rid of it, and boom, it's gone. So let's do it again. Go to the next page, press copy, select the purple one, go to previous page, then select that one. We've got the new lights. So now if we slide that up, we've got the new colour scheme which we set up earlier. And then if we press play on it, it'll go through that one. Come on, come on, come on. Then it will fade between all the different sets of lights. So now we've got the lights on and doing funky stuff. However, this might not be appropriate for the speed of the song because you might be using a fast purple song or a slow purple song or something along those lines. So we can change this by using these soft buttons on the right hand side. Here we've got the chase speed, which is the BPM of it. If you've talked to your MD beforehand, you could possibly get the BPM of a particular song and get it to match up, which would be really cool. Then you can have, let's say you want it to be 120, just click, and we can get the BPM matching whatever's on the song. However, if you didn't get the BPM off it, or it isn't quite matching up with what the band are actually playing, you can use this to tap to fade. So if we get some music going, this is running by Hillsong Video. So if we just click on this one where it says click tap to time, you can click it to match it up with the music. So now we've got our lights roughly matching the tempo of the song. However, they're quite faded in what they're doing, so we kind of go from one to the other and gradually do it. But this is quite a fast song, so I'm going to change the crossfade, which is how much it fades from one song to the next song, and just reduce that down a little bit. So we go all the way to the bottom, so we've now got solid lights going harshly on, so it just flashes straight on like that. You can also vary this between the harshness and the full fading, so just like put it to say 50% and it will fade and then stop, fade and then stop between the different sections. If you get to a chorus or a verse or something and it either speeds up or slows down, or you want to change the lights really quickly, a really cool way to do this is by using this soft button on the chase bit. So at the bottom it says double or half. So if I press the top one, it will double the speed. We get nice fast lights. Say you got a funky chorus coming up, so you just speed it up for the chorus. And coming back to a mellow verse, you just slow it down to half by pressing the bottom half underneath those two dashed lines there. And then we go to the slow bit, and we just slow it right away down. So let's get that back to something a bit more funky. As you look here, we've got all the cues in a row, and it's just going from the top all the way to the bottom. However, with this song, I feel I'm going to change things up a bit, so I'm going to change the chase direction. So we click on that, and we goes backwards. And you just do that to vary everything up a bit, and we press forwards again, and it goes all the way down. You've then got the chase type on this soft button here. So if we press once at the top, it will change it to random, and that will just make it completely random of where it's going. But I don't quite like that, so I'm going to press it again. And then we get to bounce, which is one of my favourites. And it will bounce between the top one and the bottom one, which causes this really nice effect of the lights going all the way to the right, all the way to the left, and just changing between all of them. So we've now got our lights doing funky stuff, but now we're coming to the end of the song, so we just change the fade time back to 1, the spacebar, and it fades back to the main colour. We've got another song coming up, so we just go to the standard colour because that's what the next song is going to be, then slide the first one down, and as you can see here, there's no noticeable difference on stage. This is because all the colour sets start with the main colour, which is preset by the one we changed earlier, so they all match up and nothing changes on stage. So we just press play in here, and then we go into the next song. And this is cool because we've got all the different light setups we've already made, so we can just, if we've got a different colour song coming up, say a red one, which we've done all this earlier, just copy the red one, copy it into there, go on, double click on the standard so it goes back to the standard cue, click on there, press spacebar so we can jump back to the normal fade, go to red, slide it up, slide down the standard one, and then we can press play and it will fade into a nice reddy orangey thing going on. Yeah. So now we've got our background lights coming on, we want to do something a bit more fun, a bit more interesting. So we can mess around with the moving lights, which are much more fun to play with. On this visualizer, however, they're not quite set up properly, but when playing in Kings it will all work perfectly, and I'll try to get these looking sort of okay. So if I slide the control up, we have our lights coming on, and they'll start by moving around all the different steps because it's on chase timing. We then have two set up onto cue, which are center stage and wall cue. So if I press spacebar or go to Q on the wall key you want, it will set up on the walls and just sit there, not doing anything. The reason that this chase sequence doesn't go through these ones is because on the next queue it goes from next. When it hits the 7 outer stage, it then jumps back up to the first one and goes back to stage center, so it will go round in a continuous loop, avoiding these ones. So you can only get to these ones by deliberately setting it to that position. So this slider will then control how bright these are, and if you take it all the way to the bottom, it will reset the stack and then start moving off again. So you just press the wall, go to wall, press spacebar, and it will fade onto that over the 3 seconds because that's how it's set up. And all of these are nice and cross-faded, and you can change the timing on here. So now we've got our lights up and running, and they're kind of sitting on a wall, or just with a spacebar and just moving around and doing awesome stuff, going around the wall and just looking super cool. We can then adjust how fast they're spinning. So if I just go back to here and bring up this slider, the bottom half of this slider will set the lights into a set position. So we can change it from how they start with all the way up, sliding, and after you get just about halfway, they'll start spinning slowly and then speed up as you go to the top. However, because this is feeling funny, it's doing the opposite, but in Kings you'll be fine. So we can then have the full control over how fast these are spinning, independent of what the lights are actually doing positioned around the building. So we can have these spinning nice and quickly, and then go on to this one, and then go to this one and press go to Q, and then they'll start moving off, spinning nice and quickly and zipping around the room and looking pretty cool. Finally, but by no means least, we have another playback. So on the house lights we have a set of 3. So we have manual, which gives you 100% control. So these lights are now fully lit up, which will be when you're setting up the band and everything like that. So if you press play, this will then quickly and simply go to worship. So going into your first song, you don't need to mess around and go into sliders or anything. All you have to do is press play on the first cue and bam, you're in a worship light level move. This is all the lights are set to 50%. You then have, you can press play again, and that will bring it up for notice light level. And if you press play again, it will then toggle just between the 50% and the 75%, as you don't really want 100% during the service, except when people walk in. So that's it for my first tutorial on basic running of the lights at Kings. If this has been helpful, please comment, like, subscribe below. If you're at Kings and you're having problems with this, ask Mark or get my email address off him, and I'll respond as quickly as I can. So now I'll be able to do all the cool lights at Kings. In future videos I'm going to be covering on how to set up these colour profiles and how to make more of them, and how to patch the lights and set them all up, and all that more useful stuff, as this is just meant to be quick video that is ending up being quite long. So hopefully you enjoyed it all. So have fun with the lights, just mess around, take time to work out how they work, and make sure you can get nice crossfades between the different songs. Remember at the end of the service to press remove on the non-standard colours, just so it's nice and clear for the next person who comes along to view it. And have fun. See ya.